Then he got into the boat and his disciples followed him. Without warning, a furious storm came up on the lake so that the waves swept over the boat. But Jesus was sleeping, and the disciples went and woke him. That Jesus was sleeping, right? So the disciples went and woke him, saying, "Lord, save us. We're going to drown." He replied, "You of little faith, why are you so afraid?" Then he got up and rebuked the winds and the waves, and it was completely calm. Men were amazed and asked, "What kind of man is this? Even the winds and the waves obeyed him." Why did the winds and the waves obey him? I wonder why. If you ask that question. First of all, he was sleeping in the boat while the storms were going. He was being still. Why was he being still and not afraid? Because he trusted in the one and only Father that he had. He trusted completely in him. So he slept in the boat while the winds was blowing. The others didn't have that type of faith. They did not have that type of faith. But he had a powerful faith to be still and know that God is God. Do you understand? So what he is trying to say to you through this mouthpiece is that be still and know that I am God. Be still in the storms. Be still in the trials. Rest in my... Now we're going to do. So we're going to continue and reading. I'm going to read this again. This is Matthew chapter 8. Verses 23. Then he got into the boat and his disciples followed him. Without warning, a furious storm came upon the lake, so that the waves swept over the boat, but Jesus was sleeping. The disciples went and woke him, saying, "Lord, save us, we're going to drown." He replied, "You of little faith, why are you so afraid?" Then he got up and rebuked the winds and the waves, and it was completely calm. The men were amazed and asked, "What kind of man is this? Even the winds and the waves obeyed him." Now, as I was explaining before the live was interrupted, what the Lord is saying is that he wants you to keep still in the times of faith. The only one that can give you faith really and truly is the man himself, Jesus Christ. He is the man himself that can fill you with faith. He prays for your faith. So you have to understand that, okay? So he's saying when he was in the boat with his disciples, he was the one that was not afraid because he was filled with a lot of faith and power from his Father, and he believed that his Father had the storms already. So he rested and slept quietly and still in the boat until they woke him and told him they were afraid. So what he's saying now is that you rest in his love. Rest in the times of the storms. Rest in the times of the trials. Rest in the times of the test, knowing that he has it. He has the boat. He is guiding the boat to shore where you must be. Okay? So he's saying, rest in my love and be still. Continuing, the healing of the 2 demon-possessed men. When he arrived at the other side in the region of the Gadarenes, 2 demon-possessed men coming from the tombs met him. They were so violent that no one could pass that way. "What do you want with us, Son of God? What is that? Have you come here to torture us before the appointed time?" Some distance from the large herds of pigs was feeding. The demon begged Jesus, "If you drive us out and send us into the herds of pigs." He said to them, "Go." So they came out and went into the pigs, and the whole herd rushed down the steep bank into the lake and died in the water. Those tending the pigs ran off, went into the towns and reported all this, including what had happened to the demon-possessed man. Then the whole town went out to meet Jesus, and when they saw him, they pleaded with him to leave their region. So that time when they saw Jesus took that demon-possessed man, there was a demon-possessed man really possessed by legions of wicked, evil spirits called demons. So when the man saw Jesus appear, which is the Son of God himself, which is God himself, they recognized him as the Son of God. Okay? And they got scared. Okay? So he said to them, "Go into the pig," because he's a merciful, compassionate God. He could have destroyed God. Okay? And they got scared. Okay? So he said to them, "Go into the pig," because he's a merciful, compassionate God. He could have destroyed them, but he didn't. He sent them into the pigs. Okay? He sent them into the pigs, and they went into the water. And they were drowned. Okay, but they were afraid of him after that because they thought something was wrong with him. They thought he was demon-possessed. Now, this is what I understand here. Is why it is that a man of God is delivering this man from the demons and people are thinking that he is demon possessed. That is divided. That's coming divided. Jesus Christ was for Jesus Christ, for God. He definitely wasn't for the enemy, because he took the enemy and placed the enemy in the pigs and the pigs drowned. If you understand what I mean. Okay, so we continue. Now we're going to Jesus heals a paralytic. Jesus stepped out into the boat, crossed over, and came to his own town. Some men brought to him a paralytic lying on a mat. When Jesus saw their faith, he said to the paralytic, "Take heart, son, your sins are forgiven." At this, some of the teachers of the law said to themselves, the fellow is blaspheming. Knowing their thoughts, Jesus said, "Why do you entertain evil thoughts in your hearts? Which is easier to say, 'Your sins are forgiven,' or to say, 'Get up and walk'? But so that you may know that the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins." Then he said to the paralytic, "Get up, take your mat, and go home." And the man got up and went home. When the crowd saw this, they were filled with awe, and they praised God who had given such authority to men. The calling of Matthew. As Jesus went on from there, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the tax collector's booth. "Follow me," he told him. And Matthew got up and followed him. While Jesus was having dinner at Matthew's house, many tax collectors and sinners came and ate with him and his disciples. And when the Pharisees saw this, they asked his disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" On hearing this, Jesus said, "It is not healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. But go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, but not sacrifice, for I have not come to call the righteous, but the sinners." Jesus' question about fasting. Then John's disciples came and asked him, "How is it that we and the Pharisees fast, but you?" Many tax collectors and sinners came and ate with him and his disciples. And when the Pharisees saw this, they asked his disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" On hearing this, Jesus said, "It is not healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. But go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, but not sacrifice, for I have not come to call the righteous, but the sinners." Jesus' question about fasting. Then John's disciples came and asked him, "How is it that we and the Pharisees fast, but your disciples do not fast?" Jesus answered, "How can the guests of the bridegroom mourn while he is with them? The time will come when the bridegroom will be taken from them, and then they will fast. No one sews a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, for the patch would pull away from the garment, making the tear worse. Neither do men pour new wine into old skins. If they do, the skins will burst, the wine will run out, and the wineskin will be ruined. No, they pour new wine into new wineskins, and both are preserved." That means the cleansing of yourself. That is the purification and sanctification of yourselves. Because you cannot pour new wine into skins that are old. That is what you have to have, new skins. That is the sanctification and purification of yourselves to bring in the new wine, which is the first fruit. Yes. Jesus heals the blind and mute. As Jesus went on from there, two blind men following him called out. So I've read it already, right? Let me reach here. Okay, do I believe? Okay, we reach here. Okay, we can. The dead girl and the sick woman. While he was saying this, a ruler came and knelt before him and said, "My daughter has just died, but come and put your hand on her, and she will live." Jesus got up and went with him, and so did his disciples. Just then a woman who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years came up to him and touched the edge of his cloak. She said to herself, "If I only touch his cloak, I will be healed." Jesus turned and saw her. "Take heart, daughter," he said. "Your faith has healed you." And the woman was healed from that moment. When Jesus entered the ruler's house and saw the flute players and the noisy crowd, he said, "Go away, the girl is not dead, but asleep." But they laughed at him. After the crowd had been put outside, he went in and took the girl